Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of The Startups. In today's show, we're going to be speaking with Tolu Adelowo, the Chief Executive of Cosant. He's going to be really talking about his experience as an entrepreneur, how he got started. Cosant is a company that is employing a lot of people and making a lot of headway in Nigeria. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Tolu Adelowo. Hi, Tolu. How you doing?
Hi, Tolu. Nice to be here. I'm well, thank you.
Awesome. And Tolu, by the way, Tolu is calling all the way from Nigeria, yeah? So I think COVID-19 has given us a lot of opportunities, right? To reach across borders without having to fly. And, I call it the flight shame disease.
Well, and we don't need visas too, yes. So it's good.
Indeed. So Tolu, it's really, really nice you making the time. And like I said, like I've always said in all our episodes, the purpose of the startups really is to help inspire aspiring and budding entrepreneurs, who are looking to maybe who are not really covered, they don't really like the 9 to 5 gig, but most importantly, to help them to build successful businesses that will provide the jobs for the graduates of tomorrow, because the amount of jobs that are out there is not enough to satisfy the level of the amount of graduates that university are coming out with every year. So Tolu, just before we go deep down into our conversation today, just give us a bit of a background about yourself. Why did you choose the entrepreneurial route, and what makes up Tolu Adelowo?
Okay, thank you, Tolu. And I must mention that at least it's a great initiative that you have here. So about me, so I schooled in Nigeria. I did my university in the UK, A-levels in the UK also, worked in the UK for how many years? About 8 years in the UK. But I think as with a few of my friends back then, there was always that urge to sort of come to Nigeria and sort of take part in the building of the nation. I think that's how we like to call it back then, right?
Yeah.
We felt like we wanted to be part of what was going on in Nigeria. And so I made the move, I think in 2012. But it was easy for me then because the lady I was dating was in Nigeria, and I almost had an excuse to at least come to Nigeria and see and sort of explore while dating her. Well, then obviously she's now my wife, which is good. So at least that worked out to that end. But as I was in Nigeria exploring, it was important to me also explore the entrepreneurial route. I felt, there was a lot I could contribute. And so that's what I did. I started to explore Nigeria from an entrepreneur's perspective. Now you must understand that when I came to Nigeria, I'd been out of Nigeria for a good 14, 15 years, right? So I was starting. I didn't know anyone. I didn't even know exactly what the need was. But I came and I knew I had a skill, which was around software development back then. And I started to build products as I felt that was the need. And then the more I met people, the more that I started to hone out the direction of business. Now we're about 15 people. We serve quite a few clients. And so that's really been my journey so far.
That's really amazing, Tolu. So would you say that your amalgamated experience from Nigeria and the UK made you poised to kind of start something in Nigeria? Would you say that made a very big contributive factor?
I'll answer it in two ways. So one, yes, and the other, no. Okay. So yes, in the sense that having been in the UK, there's some sort of excellence that you are sort of accustomed to, right? So when you come here, the things you do should really be based around that excellence, right, which you're accustomed to. Especially in an environment where mediocrity is sort of the norm, right? So being excellent takes a lot of work. It's probably more expensive, but it's at least helps you stand out a little bit in the market. Now, so that is on the yes part of it, right? So that is really understanding the best methodologies, the best know-how. Now, the no answer part of it is Nigeria is a totally different market, right, from the UK. Extremely different market, extremely different mindset. And so running a business in Nigeria means you need to speak the way they speak. And I'm not saying in terms of how I speak, it's really the understanding. So trying to understand people, trying to understand their motivations, trying to understand what drives the economy, trying to understand what the real problems are. Because I think Nigeria is one of those places where there are problems that you can solve, but there's no appetite to solve it, right? Even though it makes sense to solve it. We have a lot of that. So you have to be very careful that you are not, going around trying to solve a problem that is very clear that people don't have, or it's very clear, there's no appetite for it to be solved at that point in time. That being said, I think technology is one of those things that will come and solve those problems regardless, right? So we see technology coming and really addressing areas where there have been a lot of loopholes in terms of money transfer, right? I think, technology is here to stay. And I think technology is still going to solve those sort of voids that we have in Nigeria where people just are enjoying that there are voids there. But it makes sense that technology sorts it out for the benefit of everyone.
Indeed, especially when you are operating in an emerging market, especially one of the fastest growing economies in the world, definitely the fastest growing economy in Africa, if we say that with pride. But would you say that Africa in itself, or Nigeria specifically, is a right atmosphere for entrepreneurship?
Absolutely, right. By definition, entrepreneurs are meant to solve problems, right? And so you have a gold mine of problems, in Africa. It's now choosing the right problem, having the right business model around it, and then getting a team, partners, funding together, and seeing how much traction you can make. So I think yes, Africa is really the right place for entrepreneurs to be. But but I'll mention that it's not the right place for copycat entrepreneurs to be.
Okay.
What do I mean? So if I see something working in the UK, say for example, self-driving cars, it is not a low-hanging fruit that if I bring it to Nigeria and I can exactly do the same business or business model, right? So if you are looking to bring in things from maybe the UK or US and then come to Nigeria or Africa and try and implement it the same way it's done there, I think you would find that, you would quickly get frustrated. So there's a lot around designing your business around the local context, right? So yes, it's a great place for entrepreneurs, I would say, but it's not a copy or me too or copycat entrepreneurs that can come in and just sort of make money like that. No, I don't think so.
That makes sense. I mean, I think that kind of dispels a lot of mindset most so-called African diasporas would have. Oh, I'm seeing this in the UK. I would like to come and replicate it in Nigeria. So how do you kind of make kind of discern what would be right, a right fit for Africa? How did you, as the chief executive of COSAN, how did you make that decision that, okay, even though I've had this experience in the UK, how did you kind of make those necessary adjustments to meet the needs that Nigerians want?
I would say I learned it the hard way, right? So I started off by, obviously thinking I could just shape and sort of implement or shape an idea this way it's been organized and implemented and do it exactly as it is here. And no, you can't. And I learned that the hard way, right? But I think more, just from being in the market, you know, just talking to people, you sort of understand, you know, what they want, what they need. But that being said, we have a lot of, I think we're now at a point in Nigeria, which thankfully we have quite a few people who have moved from Nigeria and who have moved from UK, US back to Nigeria, and they're now working in all these organizations. So now they can sort of see how those things make sense. And so if you come up with a product that is very similar, but at least, you know, has very very much customized to the local content, they can see it, right? And they're happy to, you know, push it as long as it makes sense for them. So that I think that around that, I think I've just learned just the hard way. One, talking to people, just understanding the environment. That look, this is what is really needed. This is what's not really needed, right? That's how I've learned, to be honest. And it's not. Sorry to cut you there. It's not exact science even as of now. Right? You still release some things that are not necessarily their winners, right? But I guess, you know, one of the things, you know, you learn from the US, from the UK, you know, and Western countries is really just that iterating fast, failing quickly so that you can quickly learn and then figure out something else.
That agility. Yeah, that's very true. So in terms of starting up an IT delivery company, what are the things that you would advise a startup or an entrepreneur looking to start a similar solution with? Of course, not a competing solution with Cosant, but a similar solution to Cosant. What kind of pitfalls would you ask them to avoid? Would you advise them to avoid, and how to identify them? And what are the decisions they need to start making now to ensure their success?
Okay, there a lot. So I think one, if you want to start off now, so I'll just look back at my mistakes, right? One is, so when I started, I wasn't necessarily great at marketing, meeting people, that whole relationship building aspect, you know, that will help you get new business. Nigeria is still very much, especially where in the space that I play, which is B2B, you know, it's still very much knowing people, right? People should sort of have a trust, know you in some sense, or at least they have some sort of context to you. So if you are starting, I think, you know, if you don't have those skills, then you should be looking to partner, ideally, with someone that has those skills. Because I think great ideas and great skill sets, you know, don't make much of a difference if no one knows that you have it, right? So that's one. Two is the structure of your business is important. I remember when we started, you know, it was just myself, and then at some point I had somebody else. But it was always very clear to clients that we met that we were really just quickly put together outfit, right? You understand? And so if you want to chase the bigger projects, you know, you really need to show more than that. So I'm not saying you should go out getting an office straight away, but there has to be very good structure to how you're thinking around your business. So even things as simple as a website, you know, things as simple as you know, your social media should be active. You know, they should be able to see, or at least, you know, place you somewhere. You know, that's very important. So the structure of your business, you know, because a lot of people want to work with a business that is structured. So especially in Africa or in Nigeria, we have many informal, many unstructured businesses. And those are the businesses that cause a lot of headaches for people that use them. So they really want businesses that are structured, right? Businesses that look like they can maintain. I remember one client, you know, calling me and asking me if one of my employees was still with me, and I said yes. And he says he likes that because it just means there's consistency. There's, you know, those are the kind of things they want to work with. So yeah, so that structure is very important. And finally, I think you just need to be resilient. Resilience, one, you need to be agile, like you said. So things might not work out the first, your first idea might not work out. Your second idea might not work out. Your third idea might not work out. So, you just really need to keep pushing. I think that's really one of the key things you need in Nigeria.
That's really amazing. I think the other thing I wanted to mention, because you mentioned partnership. Is that where VCs come in? So venture capitalists, is that where they come in?
So I think in the context I mentioned it was more around having like a business partner, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But yes, you could look for funding from a VC, look for funding from a private equity firm. But they like to see some traction. We are not yet in our I guess the financing landscape in Africa is not that advanced where you can just raise money with an idea. Yeah, you really need to show traction, and even with that, it's still very difficult, right? It's still very difficult. Yeah.
So how then do you fund your idea as a business in Africa?
Okay, so we've really been bootstrapped from day one. Okay, so if you have savings, I had savings, so that's how I started. Okay. So one is savings, two is friends and family. I think that's what everyone else would advise: friends and family if you can. But you have to also be very careful because if you promise a friend that, give me this money now, in 2 years you're going to see revenue, 95% of the time, it's not going to happen, right? You are going to have to say, look, it's going to take longer. You have to have those difficult conversations, right? Yeah. So there have to be people that, this amount of money that they're giving you will not sour the relationship, right? So that's two. Then three, like I said, you can go to your VCs, you can go to your PE guys, see if they will fund you. But, you need to show traction for that. And also you need to be in the hot industry, right? So fintech, for example, is the hottest thing now. People want to fund that. So if I'm not in fintech, I'm going to struggle a bit more to fund that. So you need to be in like a hot industry to be funded. Finally, I think Nigeria has Africa has one advantage in terms of funding, and this is the fourth part, which is, I'm not sure many people consider it. So you can actually get what we call a contract in Nigeria, right? To do something like a project. Usually if you get a very good value one, then you should hopefully have some money to pocket. Ideally, if you're able to get that, and then the money that comes from that, you can actually use that to fund, at least the launch your idea. And I think, it's a great way to start, if, the other avenues just don't make sense, right? The challenge with that is you can get too used to that and not really learn to start thinking of an idea. So we've done quite a few consulting projects, like I like to call them, and if you are not careful, you just keep doing them more and more and forget that you have a product that you want to launch, right? Or you have an idea you really want to build because you are making money in one area of your business.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. At least that with that idea, you can get payment in advance. You already have customers to book as well. And even if you want to get a bank loan, it's very easy for you to prove that, hey, I've got this amount of customers in my book. It makes it easier for you to make those sales. So in terms of even talking about the business partnership that you mentioned, what are the key things that you look for to determine if this is the right partner for my business? Because there are a lot of startups that they've started up with a business partner and they've eventually broken up. Even we look at companies like Apple, even Microsoft, they are like, they sometimes function like a music group where they are good at some point, and eventually everyone wants to start doing their own solo music career. So how do you manage business partnership without it going sour? or is it an expectation that would eventually happen?
So I don't think we should be that negative about it. So there are some partnerships that work, definitely. For us, we've had mixed experiences, honestly. I can't say we've had some good experiences, we've had bad experiences, to be honest. Because everyone, you're really coming together because, you guys see value in something, right? And you guys want to exploit value on, on an idea or a product. And I think the challenges come either the value that we're expecting doesn't materialize, or there's far too much value that is coming, and then people start to believe that, the agreement was already not arranged in a correct way. So if you're going to go into partnership, I think the advice I would say is, one, very important that you go into partnership with people that have this, or organizations that you at least you think you have the same value systems, right? I think that's the first and foremost, before even looking at the merits of the whole agreement. Two is get a good lawyer. I think both sides need to get a good lawyer, and not that you guys are trying to sue each other, but that agreement needs to accommodate, future issues, right? Issues around equity, issues around costs. I think another one thing that causes issues is when the costs are sort of rising and people have to share, cough up more money for cost of a business. That could also become problematic. So, get a good lawyer to ensure, they draft out the agreement. Then three, I think also you should also look at partnerships as, at least in some way, not necessarily permanent, right? So you guys are coming together for a little while. If it works, that's good. If it doesn't work, that's great. But does not necessarily mean that partnerships don't work at all. You should look at it from okay, we're coming together for X amount of years, let's put the most into it, but it's not permanent, right? And finally, I think for businesses, at least in Africa and Nigeria, don't put eggs in one basket. And what do I mean? I mean, you can have a partnership. You guys are trying to exploit some business, and obviously you need to put your focus in it. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't invest in other things in your business, right? You should also be exploring other things, because if that doesn't work and it was meant to be like your big thing, you need to fall back on something. So in Nigeria, you see many businessmen that have like 8-7 different companies doing different things, and you're wondering why. But the more I'm here, the more I start to realize that it's important to just have different buckets where you can bring in money, because anything can happen to one of your businesses, and that just throws you out of business completely. So Africa is one of those places where one notice from a government parastatal can actually throw you out of business, like literally throw you out of business that minute you read it, right? So you need to ensure that you're pretty much diversified, even if it's not multiple businesses, multiple services, right? That are pretty much diversified in that sense.
Very true. I mean, the good book says, cast your bread upon many waters, right? So
and exactly. So that the Bible also says that, right? So it makes sense.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so in terms of as an IT person, do you need starting up an IT company? Do you need to be a technocrat to start up an IT company?
So and just to be clear, when you say technocrat, like you mean having
you
IT,
need to be a technical person to be to start IT.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to be, as long as you have a partner that is. If you're in the services business, you definitely need to have someone that can speak to the technical side of things. So if you are okay to hire someone, pay them, and you are looking at the business development, marketing aspect of it, that's fine. Now, there's a flip side. If you are an IT person, should you start a business, and is that all you need? No, that's not true. You also need, like I think I've mentioned it earlier, you need a marketing edge.
Yes.
You need to be visible. People need to know you, or you need to be out there. If you are not, opportunities just won't come your way. So you need to be known in a way. So you need to have some marketing flair, or at have a partner that can help you with the marketing.
And when it comes to partnership, does the founder of the business need to be the CEO, or should they think of an area where they might be best valuable at, perhaps a CTO, a CEO, or so on, and get somebody else to manage the business side for them? What do you think?
I think it's an interesting question. If you're starting off, I think you sort of need to be the face of the company.
Okay.
And so Africa's richest man today is Dangote, right?
Yes.
But there are still some things Dangote needs to show up. There are still some meetings he needs to show up in. His CEO will not cut it, right? He needs to be there. So businesses in Africa are still very much based on a personality. I mean, it's indeed. But they need to know you, right? So if you come in, you guys come, there are so many people, we have this person. People want to know who is behind this business, who is the face. Let's know that it's trustworthy. Let's know that it's not someone that is dodgy, right? So even if you're starting, you need to be very visible. You need to show yourself as trustworthy, show yourself as someone that people can do business with. And I mean, once you guys have started, after that, those initial, like, okay, we'll sort of size you up now, we think we can do business with you. And for all intents and purposes, from then on, your team can take on further transactions without you being involved. But there just needs to be that physical presence. And I'll say this, right, and this is just based for Africa, right? When you hear a business that, okay, this is someone's business, but the person is not really concentrating on it anymore, is distracted with something else. Usually what they're saying is that business is going in decline and people don't want to do business with it anymore. And it's not as if the business is not providing the services, it's because they think the owner is sort of distracted, right? Or the owner is doing something else. So people are very sensitive to feeling like I have access to that business owner and it's visible, but you need to scale, right? And so the more they know you, the more they trust you, the more that you can now sit back and sort of put structures in place. But I still think you need to be visible. It's very important.
Indeed. Given the culture as well, that's very, very true in the emerging markets. So in terms of people management, because I read the article that you wrote, which was what actually connected me with you in terms of the level of turnover rate in the tech industry. As a technocrat yourself, how do you manage? What's your approach to people management? Or how would you advise other entrepreneurs, other technical entrepreneurs to approach people management?
So see, so let's put it this way. I was what I call an individual contributor, right? When I was working in the UK, so I knew I had my skills. I knew my thing. Delivered, and I mean, I had good relationships with my managers, right? And I never ever felt like they needed to push me to do my work. It was always more, this is what we need to do. I go about it. Everyone is fine. There was that mutual understanding. And so moving from that frame of mind to Nigeria and then hiring people, it was quite a shock because first of all, the expectation I had of myself when I was in the UK, I don't think people have that expectation of themselves when they're working, right? So you almost are having to over-communicate, this is what we need to do, and you have to repeat it, and you have to repeat it, and you have to repeat it. Not that they're not hearing it, but it just needs to solidify, right? I found I need to give a lot of directions as to how things need to be done. So that also was it. And three, I also found that there's an hesitation to, and I think it's very cultural. There's a hesitation to speak up, right? And not speak up that you can't talk is that if I say, guys, I think this is a great idea, everyone's like, yes, sir, that is a great idea. But it might not necessarily be a great idea, but we have that cultural thing where you don't necessarily challenge people in authority, and I think that's one of the reasons why Nigeria is where it is, but that's a conversation for another day. And so, but that means that, you're not getting the best out of your organization. If people can't challenge you, if people can't say, look, I think that we can do this in a better way. If people just accept that what you're saying is, your people accept what you're saying is wisdom.
It's a law.
And it's not necessarily wisdom, right? I don't know anything, right? And if anything, they are probably far closer to the customers than I am. So if you think, there's something else we should be doing, I really want you to speak up. I found out that wasn't really happening in Nigeria. I try and encourage my people, even from simple as calling me Mr. Tolu. I say, look, don't call me Mr. Tolu, just call me Tolu. Maybe that will help you. Not, yes, but they go back to default, and I'm always trying to tell them, no, please try not to. So I think we are, I've had to learn a lot. And one of the reasons I write articles like that, I see that a lot of managers in Nigeria actually don't have great people management skills. They are very authoritarian and believe that what I say is what needs to be done, right? And I think is the wrong way to run a team, is the wrong way to run a business. I talk to a lot of, because we have a recruitment business, so we have a lot of people that come through our recruitment business. I talk to a lot of them, and the kind of horror stories you hear from that their managers, other organizations did to them, it's amazing. So I think, generally it's something that anyone, wherever you're coming from, you just need to learn and just really build up yourself in managing people. It's a whole new skill set.
Indeed. So, and that speaks to culture. So how do you begin to put the right cultures in place very early as an entrepreneur?
It's very much driven by you, as very much driven by your energy. So if there are certain ways I want us to behave as a business or as a team, I must also put performance metrics around that, right? Or say, look, these are your performance metrics. This is how I think I want you to behave. And then I put performance metrics. I must measure you. I must teach you how to improve. But, when you're starting a business, there's so many demands on you that sometimes you don't have that energy to put that structure in place. And so you just leave it to chance. And then whatever culture forms, and you're wondering why, you are getting different results. So it's very much driven by the entrepreneur, that culture that you need to set, you need to put a process behind it. And that process means it's a lot of work on you initially, but there really needs to be a lot of work that you need to put in there.
Amazing. And just to kind of bring, to round things up, COVID, has it provided, has it been a plus or a negative for you? And do you feel that it's changed the whole expectation of professionalism or conversation around professionalism?
I will answer the last question first. Has it changed the culture of professionalism? In a way, it has. So today you can be having a conversation with a client and you're hearing children in the background, right? So you're hearing them, and it's making people a bit more human, right? This is the stuff we're going through in our homes. So it's making people a bit more human. Has it been good for us from a business perspective? So we're in technology, right? And technology is seeing an uptick in interest. I'll say interest for now. So the question is, are people going to follow through? But everyone now has an interest in some sort of technology to improve their operations and to bring out the products. People really believe it now. So in the short term, we haven't seen that much. We've seen more inquiries. I will definitely admit to that. We've seen a lot of inquiries. We've had more meetings. In the medium term, I think we would see really if that would follow through. And I think that also depends on how quickly the economy back to whatever the next normal is. But I think overall, in the long term, I think everyone realizes that technology is important. So overall, technology is going to win in this market. Short term, people are more busy. Does that translate to business? We don't know yet. That also depends on how good the economy in Nigeria will be. But in the medium term, I think that's depending on how long the pandemic will be, we will see whether it's good for us in the short term.
Amazing. So do you have any last words to share with the entrepreneurs out there who are looking to do what you're doing in the next the foreseeable future?
Well, one is have mentors. I think it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Two, if you're going through challenges now and you're not even an entrepreneur yet, just use that to build resilience, because you're about to put in new set of challenges that are just totally crazy. But three, if you really think this is the path for you, I think you need to start early too. It takes a lot longer than we think to build. I think there's a statistic that it takes almost 50 years to build, a multinational company, right? Mm-hmm. So if you are really looking to doing that, obviously there are people who are just outliers, right? There are companies that are outliers, but it's just generally it just takes about 50 years to build a true multinational, especially if you're trying to build it out of Africa. Then I think you need to start early as possible. Yeah.
Amazing. So this has been really, really inspiring. Thank you so much for making the time. And we look forward to speaking to you soon. And everybody out there, I think this is something that we could all learn from and run with. Thank you so much, Tolu.
No problem. Great to be here. Thanks, Tolu.
Thank you for watching today's episode of The Startups. It is my hope that has been both inspiring and insightful. Here at The Startups, we are committed to helping you to build successful and sustainable businesses that will provide the jobs for the future. This is why we are proud of our partnership with the Business Enablement Tool. It is a digital business consultant that helps you provide the ongoing support that you need to build a successful business. We're also committed to helping you to raise the capital that you need to actually take the first step to start your business. And that is why we are proud of our partnership with Transit Loan and the government-backed startup loan to help you to raise up to £25,000 in startup capital. For more information on this, please see the description below. To stay connected with us, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Please also hit the notification icon, the bell, so that you can always get notified once a new startup show comes out. Till next time, see you next week.